and welcome to our food ordering process video tutorial. So you'll be on this lesson here and hopefully you've read this process to help you out with ordering food for any events you've got coming up. And we're going to be using this downloadable food ordering spreadsheet alongside the other spreadsheet we've been using, the food cost and price spreadsheet with all the recipe cards in it, using those two in tandem to make sure that you are ordering food properly for any events. So make sure you've opened those up. I've got an example here. So here's our food ordering spreadsheet, and I'm just doing an example for a cake sale. So a cake sale on the 1st of April, and we're using our example here of cupcakes, and I've also been working on a lemon and blueberry muffins recipe here. So we're going to use those two to do a really simple cake sale with 2 items. All right, just for an example. So here we go. I've got cupcakes and I've got muffins. I'm going to price my cupcakes at £1.50 and my muffins at £2 because I know that cost me a little bit more to make. And I'm going to look at my recipe cards just to see what quantities to produce. So my cupcake recipe makes 12. Let's just say I want to make 48 cupcakes because I know that 12 times 4 is 48. Here we go. And I'm going to do the same for muffins. I believe my muffins recipe is for 6. Right, so 6 times 8 will bring me to 48. Okay, so it's all about using the factors and just simple multiplications to get that ready. So in order for me to figure out how much I'm going to make, I use a simple Excel formula here. Target revenue, so equals 48 times £1.50. That's going to give me £72. I don't need to input that formula again. I just drag and drop it here. We're using that black cross. Oh, there we go. Drag and drop it, and that should give you 96. Fabulous. And that's going to give me my target revenue of 168, and that's just, it just pops into that cell there. So not a lot of money, but it's just a little bit of an example. You're probably going to be doing lots of events with many different items and many different prices, so this is a good tool to use just to organise those. It all comes out, you print it out and it all comes out on one side of A4, which is really useful rather than just a scribbled handwritten shopping list. Now, the date of order, if I want to have it delivered to me by, say, the 30th of March, I probably want to order it from my suppliers on the 27th of March. That's if you're getting deliveries, but if you are going directly to the supplier, you don't need to put in that date. Now I need to find out how much I need to order. So I just take the ingredients list from my recipe cards, pop them in here. So this is for cupcakes, and I tend just to make the ingredients for different items a slightly different colour from each other. So I have a bit of a distinction between what ingredients are for what recipe. You'll see what I mean here. So that's for, in red, that's for the cupcakes, and in green, that'll be for my muffins. Yeah. So I know that 12, this recipe is for 12, I need to make 48. Therefore, I need to time all these ingredients by 4. Okay, and I can use my calculator to do that, or if I'm feeling sharp enough, I can use mental maths abilities. Let's see how far I go. I might make mistakes, but let's see. So I know 4 times 4 is 16 eggs, and then we've got 800 grams needed, and I need, that's the same quantity for all those items. Icing sugar is a bit different. 500 times 4 is 2 kilograms. And margarine, that's 1 kilogram there needed. I do the same for lemon and blueberry muffins. Now that recipe is only for 6, therefore to get 48 muffins, I need to times it by 8. Okay, so I need 8 lemons, and I need 800 grams of butter. This is where I get my calculator out, and I do 120 times 8. That's 960 grams. Eggs, I need 16. Self-raising flour, 170 times 8. That's 1,300 grams, or 1.36 kilograms. Bicarbonate of soda, that's 24 grams. Milk, 120 ml. And blueberries, 1.2 kilograms. And that's my order list, and you can see how accurate it is. So I've moved from doing recipe testing, making sure I've got exactly the right amount of ingredients for my baked goods, and I use this information to write a really accurate order list right here. And you would do this if I had more recipe cards. I could you just do the same for different items. So you've got a really good database here. You don't want to overstock because you want to really keep your costs down. So you really want to avoid spending too much on food. So here I would just put in the names of my suppliers. So looking at this, I might have a particular supplier for lemons and blueberries. They might be a specialist fruit and veg supplier. And then we might have a specialist dairy supplier for eggs and milk and butter and that kind of thing as well. So you want to put the different suppliers in there, so you can write a list of, if you're going to be doing a journey, a trip to get all your stuff, you know exactly which items you're going to get from which supplier. But if you're just starting out, and that's perfectly fine, you might just want to go to the supermarket and just get everything in one big shop and save you a lot of time. So that's an option there. Then what you do would be save it and print it out. So you'd have a paper copy with you. And that way you can just check here when your delivery comes, if it does, you just check here that you make sure that everything's there. And when you get your invoice, you just check that your invoice, it reflects accurately how much you've ordered. Yeah. Obviously, you've got items here like margarine, caster sugar, self-raising flour, 800 grams. You're not going to get them in 800 gram packs. It usually will come in like a kilogram or 2 kilograms or more, so a round number. But at least this one will give you, it will show you, you know, which one's the nearest. You just get the packet which is appropriate for the amount you've got written here. And it's really, really useful to have all this on a bit of paper, just for when you're planning events of this kind of nature. And I'm just going to go back in now. I've saved that and I've printed it into my lesson. Okay, and just make sure that we've followed this process step by step. Yeah, we've decided the menu, cupcakes and muffins, very basic. We've written the order list of quantities. Yeah, and we use the standardized recipe in that spreadsheet to check the quantities. Important here, just check your cupboards in your kitchens, just to make sure that you aren't ordering something you already have in stock. Always looking to reduce the amount of money you're spending on stock. And then, yeah, we've just talked about this. We're going to talk, decide which items are ordered from your suppliers. And I've mentioned in the suppliers lesson, you want to have a various range of suppliers that you're aware of, but you really want to rely on only a couple for the moment, because otherwise you're just going to be driving around everywhere and you're going to be ordering from lots of different people, and juggling that takes a lot of time. Okay, then you receive the order. That's the next step. Use that printed list just to check that the items and quantities are correct. Store the items correctly. And then the fun bit is you produce your food, you make your cupcakes and your muffins, and always good to adjust your recipes if you've realised that something needs adjusting, and just pop that back into your food cost and price spreadsheet into the method, just so that you keep refining and you keep making your recipes better and better. Then after the event, you go out and you sell. After the event, you receive your supplier's invoice if your supplier has given you an invoice or they're delivering, or you might just have the receipts from your food shop, from the supermarket, and you just need to check. Sometimes suppliers make mistakes and they might overcharge you. They might accidentally put 20 in instead of 2, and then they will be being massively overcharged. So you just need to make sure that you can see any discrepancies there. Okay. And then the final step is to update your sales report and summaries tab in the food ordering spreadsheet. Then you can assess your financial performance. So I'm just going to do that final step now for you in this tutorial. So I'm going back into my food ordering spreadsheet. I'm going to pretend now that I've done the event and I've got all the receipts, and I'm just going to record it. So I'm going to say that we did pretty well at the event for our first thing, and we sold 42 cupcakes and 45 muffins. That gives me an actual revenue of 42 times £1.50. And then again, just drag and drop it here, £90. So that's our actual revenue. So we thought the maximum that we thought we were going to get was 168. We only managed to get 153, which is not too bad. But then I'm going to input this data into our sales report tab here. So I'm going to click into that. And then I've got cake sale. This is the kind of thing you do at the end of the month just to assess how well you did for these events. Revenue. You don't input the number exactly, you just press equals, go into the order sheet, and then you're going to go actual revenue. Press enter, there it is. Perfect. Cost of food. Now this is based on me looking at all the receipts I gained from buying all this stuff here. And I'm going to say the cost of food was £20, right? Which is pretty good. And then I'm going to work out the food cost percent. You'll remember from previous lessons, food cost percent is cost of food divided by revenue. Right, 13.1, and we know from previous lessons that that's pretty low. So pretty happy with that. Okay, gross profit is the revenue minus the cost of food, which is £133. And then we've got the gross profit percent, and that equals gross profit divided by our revenue, and that's 86.9%, which is pretty good. Other costs. Now this is like, say you pay for rent of a stall or you pay for staff on the day. So I'm going to say that we pay £25 for the table, right? So that basically means that our net profit would be our gross profit minus our other costs. So we actually, on the day, with all the costs taken into account, we made £108, which isn't too bad, considering we only sold those two products. Okay, so if it was a 6-hour market, you sold that amount over a 6-hour period, not so great. But say it was only an hour or 2 hours, that's not too bad going. And you know, I might want to say something about on notes, just about the event itself. You say good footfall, or you could say bad footfall. Like what kind of competition was out there. So maybe you had like someone like selling like flapjacks or something like that, similar goods to you that might have like competed with you, because maybe people wouldn't have bought a flapjack and a cupcake, that kind of thing. So that is the food ordering spreadsheet video tutorial completed. I hope that made this process make some sense to you, and yeah, just make sure that you're using a good old Excel spreadsheet to make sure all your food ordering processes are in order. Okay, see you in the next video tutorial.